I've been listening intently, as many gamers have across the internet, to the ongoing courtroom drama of the FTC versus Microsoft with regards to Team Xbox and the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. It's been a rollercoaster and certainly a unique peek behind the curtain of an industry that is normally kept shrouded in secrecy. In the end, Microsoft succeeded in making their case, and the preliminary injunction has been denied by the judge. Let's dig into the result and discuss what happens now. Before I get started, please don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're new to XboxEra, hit subscribe for all of our coverage on Xbox. So, a 70 billion acquisition on the line, and if it fails, 3 billion in breakup fees. The pressure is certainly on for Microsoft to get this over the line. Now, with the FTC failing to secure the preliminary injunction, the deal went from being in serious peril to actually looking extremely likely to close. There have been plenty of bombshells throughout the trial, from Jim Ryan on behalf of Sony, who despite touring the planet for the last 18 months about how terrible this all is for Sony, the leader in the market, actually turns out stated in an email that he knows that this isn't an exclusivity play at all, and that Microsoft are thinking bigger than that and have the cash to make moves like this. Then we've got Matt Booty, who described in internal communications with Xbox that they want to create a moat of content that nobody else can attack. Despite all of the back and forth, the FTC fundamentally failed to make a good case, and Microsoft had the facts on their side. In her decision, Judge Corley stated, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny, and that scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft has committed, in writing, in public, and in court, to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch, and it entered several agreements to, for the first time, bring Activision's content to several cloud gaming services. This court's responsibility in this case is narrow. If it is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For the reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for a preliminary injunction is therefore denied. Now, to anyone that was following and listening to the case as the trial progressed, this doesn't come as a huge surprise. The judge, through the questions that she asked directly and in her tone during the trial, didn't seem hugely convinced of the FTC's argument. Even from my layman's perspective, it seemed to rely wholly on both Sony's position and its testimony, namely from Sony CEO Jim Ryan. When discussing the overall argument from the FTC that Microsoft's offers and contractual commitments are insufficient, Judge Corley said, "The FTC insists Microsoft's offer is simply insufficient. In so arguing, it relies exclusively on PlayStation CEO Ryan's testimony. The FTC's heavy reliance on Mr. Ryan's testimony is unpersuasive. Sony opposes the merger. Its opposition is understandable. Before the merger, Sony paid Activision for exclusive marketing rights that allowed Sony to market Call of Duty on PlayStation, but restricted Xbox's ability to do the same. After the merger, the combined firm presumably will not agree to such restrictions. Before the merger, a consumer wanting to play a Call of Duty game on console had to buy a PlayStation or an Xbox. After the merger, consumers can utilise the cloud to play on the device of choice, including, it is intended, on Nintendo Switch. Perhaps bad for Sony, but good for Call of Duty gamers and future gamers." Let's repeat that last line again for posterity. Perhaps bad for Sony, but good for Call of Duty gamers and future gamers. The FTC, pushing with its argument to effectively protect the market leader, was already on shaky ground, and frankly, the judge didn't buy it. Now, Microsoft President Brad Smith was quick to comment on the favourable result for Microsoft, stating, "We're grateful to the court in San Francisco for this quick and thorough decision and hope other jurisdictions will continue working towards a timely resolution. As we've demonstrated consistently throughout this process, we are committed to working creatively and collaboratively to address regulatory concerns." He's made that statement on Twitter. And what's interesting now is that the ruling allows for Microsoft and Activision to close the deal ahead of the July 18th deadline in the US. But until recently, there was a global block in place following the UK's CMA vetoing the deal and holding things up. Now, following the judge's decision, in a frankly hilarious turn of events, it seems the UK's CMA has had a change of heart. Now, in partnership with Microsoft, they're coming back to the table and have agreed to pause litigation and effectively work out a deal. Again, via Brad Smith, who made the following statement on Twitter: "After today's court decision in the US, our focus now turns back to the UK. While we ultimately disagree with the CMA's concerns, we are considering how the transaction might be modified in order to address those concerns in a way that's acceptable to the CMA. In order to prioritise work on these proposals, Microsoft and Activision have agreed with the CMA that a stay on the litigation in the UK would be in the public interest, and the parties have made a joint submission to the Competition Appeal Tribunal to this effect." Now, the CMA have actually confirmed the statement above, stating to The Verge via the brilliant Tom Warren's reporting, which has been excellent on this, and I thoroughly recommend checking out The Verge if you haven't already for his takes, that the regulator is ready to consider any proposals from Microsoft to restructure the transaction in a way that would address the concerns set out in our final report. Now, rumours are swirling that this may involve some small divestiture, but nothing is confirmed yet. The last 18 months have been a roller coaster, and over the course of 2 hours, the deal went from looking increasingly unlikely to close to, well, now almost being a dead certainty. Whatever side you're on, whatever plastic box you like the most, this is going to change the industry forever. Now, I for one love the idea of a very competitive, aggressive Microsoft, because now Sony can no longer rest on its laurels. Expect plenty of aggressive plays for your hard-earned cash and great competition, which, after all, is what this case has all been about. I do feel sorry for my ever-increasing backlog though. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to stick around, hit like, hit subscribe for more Xbox content. And if you really like what we do, you can support us directly on Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra, and we'll see you next time.